They said heroes wear capes. But in the streets of Birmingham that summer evening, a barefoot 12-year-old boy proved otherwise. A desperate cry for help. A growl that could freeze the blood in your veins. And a decision that would change 3 lives forever. When Marcus Carter ran toward danger that day, he didn't know he was saving the life of a man whose gratitude would soon shake his entire world. Because the very next morning, a sleek black luxury car stopped outside the Carters' worn-down home, and what followed would test hearts, reveal secrets, and remind everyone watching, sometimes the poorest hearts are the richest of all. The streets of Birmingham shimmered under the golden haze of the late afternoon sun. Marcus Carter's bare feet slapped against the cracked asphalt, his small frame weaving through shadows of old buildings that smelled of rust and rain. He was used to these streets, knew every shortcut, every broken fence, every barking dog that never stopped barking. He wasn't a troublemaker. But trouble always seemed to find him. That day, it found him again. A faint cry caught his ear, "Help! Somebody, please!" He froze. Down the block, an elderly man in a wheelchair struggled at the curb, one wheel jammed deep into a crack. Marcus squinted. It was old Mr. Brighton. The quiet man who lived alone, rarely seen outside his brick house. Then came the growl. Deep, low, and hungry. From a nearby alley, a massive pit bull emerged, its muscles coiled, eyes burning with menace. The old man's terrified gaze darted from the dog to the street. Marcus's breath hitched. His body screamed to run, but his mother's voice echoed in his head, "Always do what's right, Marcus, even if it's hard." And so he ran, but not away. "Hey! Get back!" Marcus shouted, his voice trembling but fierce. The pit bull's head snapped toward him, teeth flashing. Marcus yanked the wheelchair free just as the dog lunged, jaws snapping inches from his leg. He stumbled but kept pushing, dragging the chair to safety, sweat and fear blurring his vision. A car horn blared in the distance, sharp, sudden. The dog froze, ears twitching, then turned and slunk back into the alley. Silence fell. Marcus's chest burned as he fell to his knees beside the chair. You saved me," the man gasped, his hands shaking. Marcus looked up, still catching his breath. "You okay, sir?" The old man nodded slowly, his eyes glassy with disbelief. "Thanks to you, boy. You've got more courage than most grown men I know." Marcus smiled faintly, but his mind buzzed with fear and confusion. He didn't feel brave. Just tired. Just lucky. That night, as he lay in bed staring at the cracked ceiling, the scene replayed in his mind, the growl, the rush, the terror. And somewhere deep inside, a quiet thought whispered, maybe doing right isn't always about feeling brave, maybe it's about choosing to try, even when you're scared. The next morning, sunlight leaked through thin curtains into the Carters' cramped living room. Marcus sat peeling the label off a tin can, lost in thought. His mother, Clara, sorted through bills at the table, her brow furrowed, her fingers trembling slightly as she added numbers that never seemed to add up. "Is it bad, Mama?" Marcus asked quietly. "It's always bad," she sighed, forcing a smile. "But we'll manage. We always do." He nodded, pretending to believe her. His little sister, Sophie, sat on the floor with her crayons, drawing their house, only in her version, the walls weren't cracked, and the garden was green and full of flowers. "Look, Marcus," she said proudly. "It's our home." Marcus smiled weakly. "It's beautiful, Soph." He didn't have the heart to tell her their real home was falling apart. That afternoon, he sold candy by the school gates, calling out to passing kids. "Candy's for sale. Sweetest in Birmingham." His smile was tired, but he didn't stop. He never stopped. Every coin mattered. By the time the sun dipped low, he trudged home, his box lighter but his heart heavier. Inside, Clara sewed old fabrics by hand, her face lined with exhaustion. Sophie drew again, this time, she'd drawn Marcus in a red cape. "This one's for you," she said, grinning. Marcus looked at the drawing, himself standing tall in front of their tiny home, a hero in crayon red. His throat tightened. "Thanks, Soph," he whispered, pulling her close. He didn't feel like a hero. But maybe she needed him to be one. The next morning began quietly, until the neighborhood fell silent. The sound wasn't familiar, a deep, smooth purr of an expensive engine. Marcus looked up from the porch just as a sleek black car rolled to a stop in front of their home. Its surface gleamed like glass, reflecting the entire street. Neighbors peeked out from behind curtains, whispering. "Who's that for?" The driver's door opened, and a tall man in a navy blue suit stepped out. He walked toward them with calm confidence, his shoes clicking sharply against the pavement. "Excuse me," he called. "Is this the Carter residence?" Clara appeared in the doorway, cautious. "Who's asking?" "My name is Andrew Brighton," he said. "My father, Walter Brighton, asked me to come by. He told me what happened, how your son saved his life." Marcus froze. The memory of the pit bull flashed through his mind. Andrew reached into his jacket and held out a white envelope. "My father wishes to thank your son. Inside is a small gesture, financial help, if you'll accept it." Clara's eyes narrowed. "We don't take handouts." Andrew nodded gently. "It's not a handout, ma'am. It's gratitude. My father believes in honoring the people who do right, even when the world looks the other way." The neighbors murmured louder now, eyes gleaming with curiosity. Clara hesitated. Her pride warred with the reality of overdue bills. She looked at Marcus, his torn shirt, his scraped hands. Finally, she accepted the envelope. "We'll think about it," she said quietly. Andrew smiled and turned to Marcus. "You're a brave young man. You reminded my father that there's still good in this world." Marcus shuffled awkwardly. "I just did what was right." Andrew's smile deepened. "That's what real heroes always say." He turned and climbed back into the car. As it rolled away, the whispers followed, but Marcus hardly heard them. His mind was spinning, not with pride, but confusion. Gratitude? Money? None of it made sense. That night, Clara finally opened the envelope. Marcus sat beside her, his heart pounding. Inside was a letter and a check, for $50,000. The letter read. "To the boy who risked his life for a stranger. You saved me, but you also reminded me of something I had forgotten. That courage doesn't come from wealth, but from heart. My late wife always said, true heroes are born where hope should have died. I believe she would have seen that in you. Walter Brighton." Tears welled in Clara's eyes. "Marcus, this could change everything." He stared at the check, then shook his head. "Mama. I don't want money for doing the right thing." Clara placed her hand on his cheek. "I know, baby. But sometimes, blessings come when you least expect them, not as payment, but as proof that good still comes back around." Weeks passed. The money helped them move to a safer neighborhood. Sophie finally had her own room, with sunlight streaming through real curtains instead of thin fabric scraps. Clara started her own sewing shop. And Marcus? He didn't stop helping people. Whether it was carrying groceries for a neighbor or fixing a broken bike, he did it quietly, humbly. Until one day, another letter arrived, this time from Walter Brighton himself. Inside was a photograph, Marcus, Sophie, and Clara standing outside their new home. On the back, Walter had written just 5 words. "You gave me life again." Sometimes heroes aren't the ones in capes or headlines. They're the ones who act, when no one else will. Marcus Carter didn't save a millionaire for money or glory. He did it because it was right. And in return, he didn't just change another man's life. He changed his own, and proved that even the smallest act of courage can echo forever. Because kindness costs nothing, but it can be worth everything.